Thank you for joining us tonight for how to create what you want in your life using your human design. My name is Grace Gravestock, and tonight I'm going to share my story about how I created in my life what I wanted. I'm not going to share all the stories, but just a few. And I want to share with you the process that I used because I want you too to take back your power. And together, when we all take back our power, we can positively impact this planet. We can be who we're meant to be and do what we're meant to do. So tonight, that involves using our imagination and using our human design. So I want you to pull out your chart and use it as a reference point as we talk about how to create what you want. Perfect. I can see that some of you have your charts with you, and that's awesome. I want to start with a story. A couple years ago, I found myself $30,000 in debt. I was just starting my business, and I frankly didn't know what I was doing. And I started to get really stressed. I felt anxiety. I'd never been that far in debt before. And one of my coaches pointed out that I was not following the process that I teach. And as soon as I realized it, I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So I did that. It took just a couple minutes. And let me tell you what happened. The first thing is I set an intention. I set an intention to create an opportunity that I would be able to make more money than I had made before. And I said, okay, I don't mind if I travel. I don't mind whatever I need to do. I don't mind working hard, but this is how much money I want to make. And I'm so happy and grateful that I already have it. This is the abbreviated version of what I did. I'm going to show you in detail in just a minute after I tell the story. But the simple version is I set my intention, and within 2 days, I got something to respond to. I got a text message from someone who I had worked with before that said, Grace, these people are looking for someone like you. Here's the rate. If you're interested, send them your resume. So I followed my strategy, which is wait for something to respond to. I checked in with my gut. My gut said, go for it. So I simply responded. I forwarded my resume. I didn't write a fancy cover letter. I didn't do anything but just follow instructions. Forwarded my resume, and the very next day, I got a phone call. I picked up the phone. I waited for something to respond to. I had the phone call, and the very next day, another phone call. I waited for something to respond to. After that phone call, they said, can we put you in front of the client? I said, sure. They said, here's the thing. This client is kind of tough. They take a very long time to make decisions, and it could be weeks or maybe even longer, and it could take multiple trips. So just be prepared for whatever happens. It's usually takes a long time with this particular client. I said, no problem. They put me on the phone. I spoke with the client. They hired me in 30 minutes. They asked me to start immediately. And the company I was contracting with gave me a cash advance. I agreed a rate that was twice as much as I'd ever made before. I started immediately. And within a week, I found myself on a plane. I was staying in a Hilton. I had a 5-minute walk to work. I had a juice bar on the way to work. And I had a great food budget. And I was in a beautiful city that has delicious food and beautiful things to look at in your free time. And that project lasted for 10 months for me. And it helped me to get out of debt, save money, and it prepared me for what has been the best year of my life yet, 2020. All of that because I followed the simple 4-step process to manifest. And I want to share it with you tonight because using this process, you too can create whatever you want in your life. And it's very simple. So I want you to get out your human design chart and follow along. The very first step is set a clear intention. Now, there are 4 aspects to how you want to set the intention. The first thing is you need to be clear and set it as a SMART goal. What is a SMART goal? It's specific, it's measurable, it's actionable, it's realistic, and it's time-bound. What's the reason that we use a SMART goal as the first step in setting an intention? Well, you want to be able to know when it shows up, if it's what you've been asking for, if it's what you've been imagining, and if it's been what you set your intention for. You want to be clear that this is the thing that showed up, and so it needs to be SMART. So that way you can recognize it when it comes into your life. So the first step, set a SMART intention. The second step, come from a place of gratitude. Why is this important? Well, in human design, we talk about frequency and we talk about energy, and everything has a frequency. And when you come from gratitude, it changes the frequency of your intention. It actually shifts it. And, in case you're wondering what I mean by frequency, just think of GPS. Wherever you are in the world, or if you've ever used something like Google Maps or a similar program, you'll notice that you can drop a pin anywhere you are. And wherever you drop that, it has a frequency, it has a measurement, a latitude and a longitude. And so it's an exact spot on the earth. Well, similarly, everything that we think, feel, speak, intend has a frequency. And there are things we can do to shift the frequency in our favor to help us create what we want. So the second step is come from a place of gratitude. I'll tell you this about gratitude. I grew up in a very religious Christian family, and my dad was an evangelist, and he was always talking about being in God's will. And so we would pray, and he would say to me, you can't have God answer your prayer request unless you're in God's will, unless it's part of God's will. And so for many years, I wondered, how do I get in God's will? How do I know what God's will is? And when I found out about frequency and gratitude, bing, it was like a light bulb went off, and I thought, that's it. That is how to get into God's will, is to be on that frequency. It's just like a radio station. When you can tune in to 88.9 or 89.1, and you're going to get 2 different radio stations. Why? That simple adjustment of frequency on the dial. You're tuning into something slightly different, a different broadcast. So when you come from a place of gratitude, you're literally shifting the frequency of your intention. So quick recap, we've set a SMART goal. We've come from a place of gratitude. Third step, we proceed from openness without judgment or expectation. What does that mean? It means that we're not concerned about where it's going to come from. You see, if you want a new job and you believe that it can only come from LinkedIn, it's like you have blinders on. And so you get on LinkedIn and you're only looking for that job on LinkedIn, and you think that it has to come from LinkedIn. And you might ignore your friend saying, hey, I want you to meet this person, or an email that you get that seems, might be work related, you're not sure. You might totally miss those things if you have blinders on and you're not proceeding from openness without judgment or expectation, because you want to be open to however God or the universe, source, whatever you understand that is greater than us, how that is going to be brought to you. So you want to, the third step, proceed from openness without judgment or expectation about where it's going to come from, or having judgment about, well, where it's going to come from. I hope that makes sense. So the last step is, let's see, let me check my notes. Oh yeah, emotion. So it's really important that you feel the feeling of what it feels like to have what you want. So you're feeling the feeling of it, you're speaking it, you're writing it, you're coming from a place of gratitude, and you're imagining, you're feeling the feeling of what it feels like to have this thing. I'll tell you a quick story. I have a good friend. She was single at the time, when she told me this story, she said she wanted a partner so bad, and she imagined what it would feel like to be held in a certain way. And she was sitting on her bed as she was thinking about it, and she was imagining a person being there and holding her in a specific way. And so she closed her eyes and she just imagined what that would feel like, and she enjoyed it in her imagination. And several months later, she was startled to realize that she was on the edge of her bed with someone holding her in that very same position that she had imagined. It is such a powerful practice to use your imagination and feel the feelings, your emotions, allow your emotions to tap into what that feels like. Why? Again, it affects the frequency of your intention. So when you set an intention, here's my simplified understanding. I'll say simplified. I'm not a scientist, so I don't claim that this is technically accurate, but this is how I understand it. When we set an intention, we send out this frequency into the universe, and it pings around everything in the universe that's at that same frequency. And because like attracts like, it bounces off of everything at that frequency, and it sends something back. For those majority of us who are generator types, it sends us something to respond to. I call it cosmic breadcrumbs. It's something to respond to. And it's those cosmic breadcrumbs, if you follow them, will lead you to the fulfillment of your intention. It's so beautifully set up. So that's the first step. Set a clear intention, come to it with gratitude, feel it strongly with emotion, and proceed from openness without judgment or expectation. And once you do that, then you wait. If you're a generator type, we also are called alchemists or time benders, depending on the type of generator. We are meant to wait for something to respond to. If you're a projector or an advisor in quantum language, you have a different strategy. You're waiting for an invitation, or you could be waiting to be recognized, by someone perhaps that can help you to create that thing that you want, because projectors have a special role in this world, and they are meant to guide the energy of the generators. The generators are the majority. So when they're waiting for an invitation, they're waiting for an invitation, usually, not always, but usually from a doer, a generator, a builder, who can do those things that can help them to get to the fulfillment of their intention. Now, if you're a manifester, you have to wait for the right timing, because that's the only thing you have to wait for, because you can just speak it into existence almost. You just create and you just follow your own creative impulse. But the important thing for you is, again, to wait for correct timing and follow your inner guidance system on that. And if you're a reflector, your strategy is to wait 29 days, a full moon cycle. Why is that? Because you need clarity and you have to go through a process, and it takes time. And so once you set your intention, that's the first step. The second step is you follow your strategy. So I've just outlined what that would look like depending on your energy type. The third step is to listen to your inner guidance system. Now, on your human design chart, this will be called inner authority. And there's several different types of inner authority. I'm going to focus on the two that cover the majority of people. That's your emotions, your emotional authority, or your sacral authority, or listening to your gut. I'm going to even check in with the third one, which is the spleen. It's called the splenic authority, and that means it's a knowing. You don't know why you know, you just know that you know. And it's a special type of inner GPS. Very small percentage of people have it. There are a couple of other options, but very, very small percentage of people. And if that is you, please reach out to me and we will talk about how you can learn to listen to your inner authority. But let's talk about the majority right now. The most common type of inner authority is emotional. So if your chart says inner authority emotional or solar plexus, that means you have an emotional wave. And so in order for you to make the best decisions for yourself, you need to wait for your wave to crash. It means that if you make a decision up here or you make a decision down here, it's going to be a very different decision. What you want to do is wait for that wave to crash, and like the wave on a seashore. It crashes. Now there's clarity. Now you can make a decision without being in the height of emotion, without being in it. So you've got that clarity. You're looking for a yes or a no to proceed. Yes or no, that's what you're looking for. And so you might need to sleep on it. And depending on the type of emotional authority, it might take longer, it might take shorter time, but usually you want to sleep on it if it's an important decision specific to you. Now, the second most common type of inner authority is the sacral. This is the same as listening to your gut. Now, this applies it applies entirely actually to generator types, because in order to be a generator type, or we're also called alchemists in the quantum language, or time benders, we have the sacral defined. That's the sacral chakra, which gives us access to life force energy and workforce energy. And so we are meant to be the worker bees. We're here to do the work, to create the infrastructure for the new economy. So when we're doing the work, we're going to have access to that sacral authority, and we're going to have access to the gut. Now, if you're a generator and you have emotional authority, you might also have the sacral defined. And so I call that a secondary authority. So for some decisions, you might be able to just make a quicker decision. If it's a small decision, especially, you can just check in and your gut says, yes, you go for it. So what you're looking for, again, is clarity, yes or no. And this is where you want to listen to your body. You want to listen to your gut. And so I take my clients through a process where it's called a sacral session. And so I ask you a bunch of questions. They're yes or no questions. And I ask you to listen to the sounds your body makes. It's going to be uh-huh or uh-uh if you have a sacral authority. So what you'll find as you answer these questions is you will be surprised that your body is giving you the answer. This can be amazing because it gives you quickly clarity on whether or not you should proceed. Again, you're looking for a simple yes or no on this thing, whatever this thing is that you're waiting to respond to. In most cases, that's what the generators are looking for. I see this, I get this email, I meet this person, I have this opportunity for an interview. Is this in my best interest to do? Check in with your emotional wave, check in with your gut. It's a yes or no. You're looking for clarity. Once you have that, I told you I would also talk about the splenic authority. So splenic authority is the third most common type, very small percentage, less than 3% have this, but it is also like a secondary or tertiary authority for some other types, because if you have your spleen defined, if you have your splenic chakra colored in, then it means you have access to this as well. I call it like a bonus authority, a bonus inner GPS. And so you have a sort of knowing, and you just don't know why you know, but you know that you know. And so it's just another data. It's another data point for your inner guidance system. It's called your spleen. It's called your splenic knowing. So if your chart says splenic authority, that means it's your spleen that's giving you the answers, and it's just a quick yes or no, and it's a flash. So you need to learn to tune in to what your body is saying and listen. Now, for all of those, what you notice is there may be time involved, or there may be listening involved to the body. Most of us are not accustomed to listening to our body, because why? We grow up in a society that says, just do it. Just go ahead and make it happen. I mean, I grew up with a dad who took us all door to door when we were kids, and I thought that was normal. He said, if it is to be, it is up to me. And, we said that as kids, if it is to be, it's up to me. We got to make this happen. Well, that strategy actually doesn't work for most people. It only works for the manifestors, and they're 8 to 9% of the population. So the point of that third step is listen to your inner guidance system. You're looking for a yes or no. You're going to either use your emotional authority, your sacral authority, or your splenic authority to know if you should proceed, yes or no. and this thing that you have to respond to, or this invitation that you have if you're a projector, or if you're a manifester, if the timing is right for you to go forward with this idea that you want to start, a project you want to initiate. So that's the third step. Now, wouldn't it be great if you always had a way to check in and know if you had made the right decision? Wouldn't that be great? Well, I've got good news for you today, because there is a way, and it's on your chart. It actually says this. So if you're a generator, it will say your self-theme. Your self-theme is satisfaction. And so what that means is you make your decision. Let's say you get a yes, you move forward, and you check in. How does that make me feel? Do I feel satisfied? If yes, keep moving forward. You're on the right path. Because as a generator, you always know that if you feel satisfaction, you're doing the correct work for you. You're here to do, you're here to create, you're here to build. You're doing what's correct for you, and that will bring you satisfaction. So you always know if you're on the right path if you have satisfaction. Now, there's a sidebar. It's called frustration. On your chart, it's called your not self theme. So I see those satisfaction and frustration for a generator or manifesting generator. Both of them are the same in the sense that in between satisfaction and frustration is your correct path. So if you get to frustration in your life, if you have any area of frustration in your life, you have to ask yourself, how did I get here? And then you go back to the 4-step process. Did I set a clear intention? Yes or no? Did I follow my inner guidance system? No, sorry, did I follow my strategy? Yes or no? Did I follow my inner guidance system? Yes or no? And then that would lead you to either satisfaction or frustration. So if you got to frustration, then one of those is off, and you got to try something different, tweak it, and make sure that you are getting it accurate, that you're following this process, and that will lead you to satisfaction and moving forward in a way that's correct for you. Now, if you're another type, it's going to look a little bit different. If you are a projector, you're designed for success. And so if you're on the right track, you're going to feel successful. If you're not on the right track, you're going to feel bitterness. Now, a lot of projectors don't like the term bitterness. It doesn't sound good. I can guarantee you, having lived closely to projectors all my life, that it doesn't feel good to be around a bitter projector either. But if you are a projector and you feel bitter in your life, you have to ask yourself, where did I go wrong in this process? And all it means is make a shift, because it's just like on the road, you know, those bumps on the side, they're there to tell you you're off the road. Similarly, your not self theme is there to say, oh, you're off the road, get back on the road, go forward in this way. So if you're a projector and you feel success, you are on the right track. If you feel bitterness, you got to make it tweak. Now, I want to make a note about success. Success for projectors is very different than success for generator types. Now, the majority of the world that we live in measures success, or at least has historically measured success, as usually if you make money, if you have a good job, if you have, you know, whatever the trappings are of your particular socioeconomic group. And if you have those things, you're considered successful. And they're usually financially based. That's how we've measured success traditionally in this society. For a projector, the currency is different. The currency of a projector is recognition. And so what that means is success for them is being recognized for their wisdom, recognized for their ability to guide, recognized for their ability to assess who you are and what you need, and then again advise you or guide you in the way that you need. They have a different kind of aura, and they're particularly designed to guide the other. And so in order to have success in that, they need to have the correct invitation for them, which means somebody has to recognize their wisdom or ability to guide and ask for their guidance. And then if they decide that's correct for them, they proceed, and those projectors go from being bitter to having success. So my point here is that success looks different for every type, and it's projectors who are drawn towards success, whereas generators are drawn towards satisfaction. That is what you're designed to be in that state most of the time. Now, just because you're designed to be in that state doesn't mean that you are. If you find yourself frustrated most of the time, it means you're probably not living according to your design. If you find yourself bitter as a projector, it means you're not living according to your design. And this 4-step manifestation process is a good starting point to check in to see how you're calibrated and how what's your alignment like for in terms of what's correct for you in your a correct way of operating in this plane. So we've covered the 4-step process. The first step is setting an intention. The second step is follow your strategy, whatever it is, it's on your chart. Then the third step is follow your inner authority. I call it your inner GPS. It's your guidance system that tells you how to proceed. And the fourth step is to check in with your not self theme or your theme, which is or your self theme, which is for generators, satisfaction. For projectors, it is success. For manifestors, it is peace. And for manifestors, the not self theme is anger. Now, I want to say a word about that. If you're a manifester, you just want people to leave you alone and let you do what you're here to do. And usually what you're here to do is initiate, start things on this earth, start projects, start creating something. And it's for usually another type, usually the generators, to fulfill that vision, to complete that process. So for instance, if you're a manifester, you are here to have an idea, have a vision, get that vision started. You're here to speak it, inspire someone or a group to get things going, and then you go off and do your own thing, and the rest of the generators pick up your vision and actually bring it to fruition. It is for the generator types to do the building work, to do the work part of it, because manifestors also have an undefined sacral, meaning they're not here to do work in the traditional way. Now they can work hard. I mean, if you're a manifestor, you know that there are times in your life you have worked really hard. You have access to this energy, but it's inconsistent. And you amplify the energy of the generators you're around. So you can do all kinds of stuff for a short period of time, but then you burn out. You're not here to do the traditional 9 to 5. And so that's why if you've had a traditional 9 to 5 and it didn't work for you, now you know why. You're not necessarily designed for that. You're designed for freedom and having the ability to create your own schedule, or to be in your own flow, to follow your own passion, and to initiate those things that you have energy for. That's your design. And if you are a reflector, it's different. You are here to find surprise. I have a sister who's a reflector, and she's constantly taking pictures of nature, and she's delighted and surprised by nature every day. She goes on hikes, she goes by the river, and she's constantly surprised and delighted, and she's living her purpose. And she always knows if she's made the right decision if she is surprised and she's delighted. And when she's not, she's disappointed. And that is her not self theme. They're a very small percentage of reflectors, just 1% of the population. But the point is, we're all having to wait for something. And we all have a process that we can follow. We're all here to create. Some of us are here to create. We can create alone, and we can manifest things faster. I mean, the manifestors are pure energy, and they can just practically speak things into existence. Manifesting generators can get a lot done. We have a superpower of being very fast, finding shortcuts, and sometimes we skip steps, and sometimes we have to go back, but we can find the shortcuts, and that's part of our superpowers. Now, if you're a generator, your superpower is to be consistent and to follow the process. You're very good at things like paint by numbers, and I don't mean that simplistically. I mean you can follow instructions, and you can take an idea all the way through the steps to completion. And that is so valuable. I mean, I'm jealous of that sometimes, because as a manifesting generator myself, I tend to jump around, and I used to beat myself up for that. But that's the way I'm designed, and I have a special role to play, and that's okay for me to do that, to multitask and have lots of projects going at the same time, but that wouldn't be correct necessarily for a generator type. So the point here is to understand who you are, and through human design, you can understand who you are. You can learn to love yourself once you know how amazing you are and how to use your energy and use your imagination for your advantage to create actively and intentionally the life that you want. And the last piece is self-care. It's really important that you learn who you are, you love who you are so much that you want to take care of this amazing vessel that you have in this physical realm. Take care of yourself, because it's only when you're taking care of yourself that you can care for others. It's like when you get on the plane and they say, put your air mask on first before you put the air mask on of someone next to you. Because if you're not breathing, guess what? You're not able to help someone else. So that is the 4-step manifestation process according to your human design and how you can create. Now, there are other nuances. There are special, specific things that can help you to manifest faster and differently. I'll say that each type has a different way of manifesting. I started to talk about how manifestors can almost create it instantly. They're pure energy. Manifesting generators are a hybrid, so we can do some of that, and we want to be hands-on with the work. So we're creating, but we also are doing, and sometimes we need help to get it done. The generators are, depending on their type, they might need help from someone else to manifest, to get things done, depending on what their chart says. We would look at that in a private session. If you're interested, please schedule a discovery session at askgrace.info or mrsfun.org. Either one will take you to my scheduling page, and we can look at your chart and talk about how your process might be a little bit different, tweaked to be more effective for you. But broadly speaking, this process is a way that we can use our imaginations and follow this process to create the life we actually want. So I'm grateful that you have shared this time with me, and I hope this is useful to you. I look forward to hearing your feedback, hearing your stories about how you followed the process and what you have achieved, what you've created with your imagination, and using your unique energy blueprint to take back your power to create the life that you want and create a life that you actually want to live. That's what I've done in my life, and I'm committed to helping as many people as possible take back their power. My intention is to positively impact 50 million people by 2025. Yes, I used to have 5 million as my goal, but already I have measurements that I'm at 3.5 million already, and there's still some time left. So I'm going for 50 million people by 2025, and I know that when you stand in your power and you start creating the life that you want, that I can count that as part of my impact and my success, because I want you to learn to take back your power and create according to your desires, and not to feel enslaved anymore, but to truly take back your power. So with that, that is my process for how to create whatever you want in your life using human design and my 4-step manifestation process. Please share in the comments below if you try this, when you try this, what your results are. I'd love to celebrate them with you. So that's all I have, and I know that David is my co-host tonight, and he has some additional story to share. So David, are you ready?
I'm ready. In August of 2006, we started a meetup group called the Law of Attraction. We had been given the video, the DVD of The Secret, and we were given permission to make copies and give them out to everyone. So we were watching it and we were having a great time. So we've been meeting pretty much consistently for 14 years. This is another incarnation of that group. What we did learn was that thoughts become things, and in your imagination And the use of your imagination is so important. And from the notes that I was taking while you were speaking, I simplified it to my understanding because I like things simple. And it was decide, believe, and Goyen. Because I do believe that we have action to take, and you could be a farmer and never plant a seed and nothing's going to happen. You have to do something. You have to take an action. You have to do something. And when you said all these things, I have things I still haven't created. And I'm I'm deciding to do that today. I will start writing it down after we finish this program, because there are so many things that I've seen even this year, 2020. For some people, 2020 was a terrible year. For me, it has been an adventure. I have had more fun as Mr. Fun this year than I can imagine or I can remember, because I just let go and said, let's go. It's interesting. You can let go and let's go. So close and so different. So Grace, I want to thank you for your program tonight, or your presentation, because I know that 50 million is still kind of short. I've asked you to do the 500 million. Well, we'll get to that part when you believe. So let's go impact the world. And my word to you today is Goyen. Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to hearing your comments and your experiences by using this process. Please share in the comments below. Thank you for joining us, and tune in next time.